Good afternoon. This is very difficult for me. Very difficult, very frustrating day for me. On June 29th, early this morning at 12:21 a.m., my officers responded to the unit block of West Street for a report of a victim suffering from gunshot wounds. Officers arrived at that location and located an adult female victim suffering from a gunshot wound. Officers and emergency medical services personnel attempted all life-saving measures, but the victim was pronounced deceased at the scene. The victim was identified as Michelle Jordan Cummings. She's an African-American female, 57 years of age, who resides in Houston, Texas. Our preliminary investigation reveals that the victim was sitting on the patio area at a local hotel and was not the intended target. At this time in the investigation, it is believed that the shots were fired on Pleasant Street and traveled a short distance, shooting the victim. Of course, this is an active and fluid investigation, and we urge anyone with information about this incident to contact detectives at 410-260-3439. You can also call Metro Crime Stoppers at 1-866-7-LOCK-UP and submit an anonymous tip. If your tip leads, of course, to the arrest and indictment, you may be eligible for a cash reward for up to $2,000. I'd also like to state real quick before I turn it over to the mayor that we have detectives from the Annapolis PD working 24 hours a day. I've authorized the detectives to work around the clock to follow up on any investigative leads. A very tragic story. Ms. Cummings and her husband brought their son to settle in. He's to be inducted into the United States Naval Academy. He's also a prospect for the football team. So what turned out to be a celebratory occasion for the family, celebrating their son going into one of the best institutions in the United States, turned into a tragic event. So after I turn it over to the mayor, we'll gladly answer any questions and give you any updates that we have, that we can reveal. Thank you. This is I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Gavin Buckley.
So this city's heart is broken. Somebody has lost their mum on the most proudest day probably of her life. So there are no circumstances where this can be tolerated. My sympathies go out to the family. We are focused on getting guns off the street, but it only takes one criminal with a gun for the results to be tragic. This was a horrific outcome for the kind of everyday gun violence that many cities across America see. Annapolis, sadly, is not immune. We have deployed our crisis intervention team to assist the victim's family. Police Chief Jackson has been updating me regularly on the status, and every resource is being deployed to solve this case. The perpetrators will be found and they will be held to account. Thank you. I just want to tell you who is with me. Our head of public safety, Alderwoman Rhonda Pendell Charles. The Alderwoman for this ward, Alderwoman Ellie Tierney, is here. Deputy Chief Stan Bradford, Alderwoman Sheila Finlayson, and of course Chief Jackson and Mitchell Stevens, the city's public information officer. We can now take questions.
Chief Jackson, can you come to the podium, please? Quick question for you. What leads you to believe that this woman was an innocent bystander?
Well, I'll say this. There's nothing in her background. She was here to bring her son to the Naval Academy. She's not from the city of Annapolis. She's from Houston, Texas. She was with friends, another a set of parents who was there to bring their son to the Naval Academy as well. They, got together to socialize when this unfortunate thing happened.
You said he was the Navy Midshipman was a football prospect?
A football prospect, yes, for the United States Naval Academy.
And how many times was this woman shot?
That's yet to be determined. She was shot more than once.
And did you recover any shell casing?
I don't want to talk about that part of it as yet. We'll do a follow-up, and I'll give you an update. But
have you checked surveillance
we
cameras
have recovered evidence.
Have you checked surveillance cameras or ring cameras in the area to see if they perhaps could have captured the shooter or a description of the shooter?
Yes, sir. As we speak, we have detectives who are working around the clock. A big part of what they're going to do as they work around the clock is to look at closed circuit TV, both private and public cameras. We've obtained warrants to look at cameras in and around the area. We'll probably look at most of the cameras in the city of Annapolis.
Suppose the shooter's watching this right now. What do you say to him?
What I'll say to the shooter or any other shooter, first of all, my heart does go out to the family. I mean, I've had a rough day because I'm a parent, and when you come here with the expectation to see your son go on a journey, and one of the most exciting times of his life, only to be met by a reckless shooter. So what I'll say to the shooter, turn yourself in. We're coming after you. This kind of, as we get into the summer, we're not going to tolerate this. We're going to come after you. We want you to come and enjoy the city of Annapolis, but the one thing that we're not going to tolerate is this lawlessness.
Chief, who was it that called for help? And were there witnesses that you've identified?
We are still working on that. We received several calls. We're still investigating that. Probably one of the calls came from the hotel, but we're working on that.
Was she with her husband at the time?
They were together and another couple.
At the Graduate Hotel? Confirm that?
I can't confirm that. I won't confirm that right now.
Do you know the circumstances of them being out on the patio at 12:30 in the morning?
Just enjoying themselves. It was a hot night. They were enjoying the breeze. They knew each other because their sons had went through the Naval Academy preparatory program in, I believe it's in Rhode Island. And so they knew each other when they went to see their sons off for their induction and the plea process. They recognized each other and they thought they'd get together and just kind of talk to each other and celebrate. I mean, if my son were going to the Naval Academy, it'd be a proud moment for me. And so they were just there, true victims, just sitting there enjoying themselves.
Is there another incident on Pleasant Street that you were aware of that this may have spilled out onto?
Yeah, shots were fired on Pleasant Street, and we're still investigating that. We know that a couple of shots were fired on Pleasant Street, and those were the fatal shots.
Possibly.
Can you tell us anything about that circumstance? Anything more about that circumstance on Pleasant Street?
I don't want to give out any information before it's confirmed. We're looking into that, but we know that the Pleasant Street incident was separate. There was an assault on Pleasant Street. I'm sorry, there was an assault on Pleasant Street. Multiple shots were fired at individuals and a parked car, and unfortunately, one of the shots made it onto the hotel parking lot where the victim and her husband, along with another couple, were just enjoying the evening.
Can you release the name of the Navy Midshipman?
I'm not at this time.
Any other victims at all?
Well, we have, if you count the victims who were shot at, we consider them victims as well. They weren't struck, but they are victims as well. So we're investigating that. Two other ones.
2 people inside a parked car who were shot at.
Yes, ma'am.
How common are shootings in that part of the city?
Oh, very rare in that part of the city, very rare. But as the mayor said, as the police chief, first of all, my job is to make sure the city is safe. And every time this happens, it's very upsetting. I take it personally. I really do. I want to ensure the citizens that this is not common in that area, and we want to make it uncommon in all of Annapolis. But to answer your question, that's since I've been the chief, I don't know of a shooting in that area that's occurred since I've been here, and I believe it's extremely rare. Very unfortunate and extremely rare.
Can you confirm whether this was a unit block of West Street or the 100 block?
Unit block, I believe.
Unit block is like between Church Circle and Calvert. That would be like by the Ram's Head. But the Graduate Hotel is up in 100.
100 block, okay.
100, okay. And can you spell the last name of the victim?
I believe it's C-U-M-M-I-N-G-S. And her first name is Michelle. Michelle Jordan Cummings. Female, black, 57.
2 L's in Michelle. Just want to make sure to get it correct.
I'm spelling it M-I-C-H-E. Yes, L-E. Yes, ma'am.
Ellie, okay.
And the patio where they were socializing, is it on West Street or was it in a room back? I know there's a bar and restaurant
On West Street.
It was right there in front of the. Okay.
Yes, sir.
It is 2 L's.
It's 2 L. Okay, it's 2 L's.
Thelle.
Okay.
And the last name again?
Last name is Cummings. C-U-M-M-I-N-G-S, like the former Congressman Elijah Cummings.
Chief, you kind of cut out a little bit when you were giving the number. Can you repeat that again?
The number,
Yes.
the number 2. Oh, the detectives? Oh, yes. And we really need you to call us at area code 410-260-3439. And we will be taking calls 24/7. And if somebody doesn't answer, please call back. We're going to be on the street tonight, looking at cameras and anything that we see, we're going to follow up. And I want to ensure the Cummings family that we're going to do everything and use every tool at our disposal to come to a successful resolution in this crime.
Do you have an idea of how many suspects you may be looking for at this point?
No, sir, I don't know as of yet. That's still being investigated. Still very early on in the investigation.
Are there any solid leads?
We have leads. I don't want to get into that at this time because we're still sorting this out. But we do have leads.
Thank you, Chief.
So I just want to let everyone know that the first thing we did this morning was reach out to Admiral Buck at the Academy, and he had been up all night with the families. So our hearts go out not only to the families but to the whole Naval Academy family for this loss. This is a tragic event, a rare event in the city's history, but we are all devastated, and we're going to find out who did this.
Homicides this year so far?
This is the third homicide this year. Yeah.
I have one last question, Chief. Was it an elevated patio? I've been to the hotel to see it.
Yeah, it's elevated near parking garage.
She was up
On
on
a-
a higher level.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks, we'll wrap it up.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for your time. Thank you.